Hello and welcome to Lansdowne Road. David Dunn here, joined by Martin Prendergast. And we want to welcome to you a very special presentation of our very first ever live Q&A, where Martin and myself were live in London in the Camden Centre on the 15th November 2024, where we sat on stage with Clinton Morrison, Alan Kelly and Ian Harte. There we are, and that was in the Camden London Irish Centre before England gave us a good old hiding. Martin, we had a fantastic night that night, didn't we? Some of the questions, the stories, the interaction was brilliant, wasn't it?
We did, yeah. I met my new best friend there, Ian Harte.
There
But
he
yeah,
is.
great to actually be with Lansdowne legends. That's why we come up with the name as well. Those three iconic names in Irish football, brilliant careers, all of them. And to have the opportunity to sit on the stage with them and hear stories like we're going to reveal now in our live recording of the show, never been kind of heard before. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it back, really.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff's covered. Jack's covered. Alan Kelly's first ever meeting with Jack in 1986, the Lean Tui game, where he actually quit afterwards. Saipan, here's a picture of it there. We go into all of that. That will be in part two. But part one, we go through their careers chronologically, starting from Alan Kelly, of course. Some of the stories, absolutely brilliant. The punch up in Iran, with what was it? Clinton Morrison called him. Martin, Tony No Neck Hickey or something, or No
Yeah.
Neck Tony Hickey. He was the security guy. He's the guy with the big fellow with the moustache that you
Oh,
always see with Mick McCarthy. Brilliant story. Alan Kelly, by the way, the three of them, lovely guys. Alan Kelly, I must say, he stole the show with his stories, and I told him that afterwards. There we are, straight after Alan, Clinton, myself, Ian, and of course Martin. It was a brilliant night. In the London Irish Centre, and we're very proud of the show. We're very proud of it, and we thought it's too good to just sit in the archive. It is a soundboard recording. The sound is absolutely perfect, and it starts off with Alan Kelly having some mic trouble. We hope you enjoyed.
Ready to go? Clinton, you're used to this. I mean, I turn on the telly every day and I see you. That's all I see on Sky.
Got bills to pay, mate. But you need to start properly because Kelsey's mic's not working.
All right, we'll get on to the old tech team there for that. Don't get out of Sky, do we?
I think we're just working on it.
Don't worry, we'll work on it. But actually, while we sort that out, I nearly sat down on this lovely A3 poster here, which is another thing we're selling tonight. You might be surprised to hear. They're £10. All right, they might be pricey, but I'm sure the lads are going to take time this evening at the end of the night to sign those, have a photo with you as well. I haven't spoken to them about this, by the way. But we've got them tonight. The proceeds go towards charity again, and that's what it's all about. So do dig deep. Caroline and Roisin will be selling those over there as well. So, okay. So Clinton, yep, on Sky. How's it going?
No, you said Clinton, not else. Ask the audience. Nah, not really. It's going well, to be fair. Listen, when you retire from football, you don't know what you're going to do. We can't all be super agents like Ian Harte here on my left and comedians like Alan Kelly. So I just thought to myself, let me just go down the TV route. And to be fair, I've seen a few of my people that I worked with here, and they've just said, I'm doing a brilliant job, so I'll take that and move on. But the one thing I do, and everyone will see it, when I'm on the TV, I'm the same person I was 10, 20 years ago when I was playing football. I just try to be myself and have fun with it, and that's what I do.
I think that's one thing we can all say does happen, Clinton. You're quite a character, very, iconic really in Irish football circles. I think everyone thinks you're fun. It comes across on the TV. So.
Well, why didn't I get more caps then if I'm that good?
I wasn't managing.
I wish some of these were managers.
Just onto the game. Obviously, we're going to preview, chat about the England game coming up on Sunday. But did you watch the game last night, lads?
Yep. Flicked over. Yeah, kept flicking over. Yeah, good result. 1-0 and, yeah, really good result. I do like Evan Ferguson. I think he's going to be a superstar. They just have to keep him fit and healthy, get more games at Brighton. But, yeah, hopefully we can start kicking on now because it's been a bit depressing the last few years.
But I think the man of the match was Quivin Kelleher, wasn't it? Penalty save, just his overall performance. I might be biased on that. But, I watched both games last night, so it's going to be a tough tie, without a doubt. But Jordan Pickford had 5 saves last night. Quiveen Keller had 4. So let's hope it's going to be an entertaining game on the behalf of the Irish.
Have you worked with both of them?
Did I tell you to say that? I think I've got an inside knowledge on both of them. Yeah, I worked with Quiveen for when he came into the squad, and obviously Jordan Pickford at Everton for 7 years, and 2 absolutely top-class goalkeepers. And I think I tweeted before that it's going to be intriguing that one brilliant save from either keeper could determine the game. And but as you say, Ireland won 2 out of the last 3. Evan Ferguson getting a goal last night. So it's really looking forward to the game. What about you, Harty? You've not said much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to obviously watching the game myself, but I like Sammy Smodic. I think his energy, his running off the ball, his determination to try and... That's what you need, more players like that in the Ireland team at the moment. We were reminiscing, talking with Al the Doc upstairs, talking about the leaders that we had within our group, wasn't it? There's no leaders really nowadays because young lads, class it as a form of bullying. It's not. It was tough and demanding. That's what we demanded from each other within our group. You had obviously had Roy in it, you had Robbie, you had Kev Kilban, Duffer, leaders within the group, and that's why when we played, at Lansdowne, now at the Aviva, we tried to make it a fortress, trying to upset people coming there, and we went out and put our bodies on the line.
Do you think, though, Seamus Coleman being out of the squad at the moment, injured, is a loss to Ireland? Like, Collins had a great game last night, almost man of the match, really. I know Quiveen got it, but, you weren't voting on that, Alan, but...
No, I was going to say to you, though, but I thought Collins was superb. I mean, his interception where he stood on the shot from the Finnish striker, it was a certain goal, and I thought he was in the right place at the right time, and every opportunity, heading balls away, and his defensive duties were fantastic, but also he can carry the ball out of defence. So, and for me, I think that's where Ireland have got to improve in terms of what they do with the ball, keep it better, have more possession. Because when you're at Wembley, and England are going to have a lot of possession, because that's what they are as a team, a possession-based team. I think Ireland can do that as well. I think we can find an extra pass that gives us more time on the ball, that allows people like Evan Ferguson, allows runs like Sammy Smodic. So all these little ingredients that need to be fired from keeping possession of the ball. But I thought, like you say, Collins was absolutely exceptional last night.
What do you make of the Matt Doherty situation? He's sort of become a bit of a pantomime villain. How are we on Matt Doherty?
All those say aye.
You know what? It's a difficult one because he's not really playing that much at Wolves, and he's obviously sometimes he can play as a third centre half. That's not his position. He's better as a wing back. But obviously, you say you have Seamus Coleman, Ebosele, who a lot of the fans are excited to see and want to see him as a regular because he's got pace, and I think the wing back suits him. It can happen. It obviously can happen when you come in and have 2 or 3 games and you're still getting picked week in, week, and well, not week in, week out, but every international break, and fans are disappointed and the manager ain't changing. You always start to question why is he playing, but he's not a bad player, Matt Doherty. He's not a bad player. He's a good player, but I don't think he's a third centre half. I think if he has to play as wing back. But as I said, I think most of the fans want to see young, exciting players coming through, and he's not old or over the hill at the moment, but he does get a lot of criticism, but sometimes that happens in football. You have to just stick with it. It happens. It's one of those things. It's part and parcel of being a footballer. You just have to keep improving and improving.
I've just got to say on that with him, he always turns up. He's always in the squad. He always answers the call. And there's got to be a worth in that, hasn't there? We talk about the 11 that only play, but there's 13 players on the sidelines who are not playing. But they still add to the squad. I should know. I've missed out on a few caps. You know what I mean?
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, but it's true though. I mean, everybody talks about individuals, right? But they still turn up when they're called up, and there has to be some credit, and there has to be some acknowledgement of that as well. And I think that's what Matt Doherty does.
Just to jump in there on that though, like as a coach now speaking, and obviously we'll cover your early career with Ireland, of course, but how do you motivate the guys coming in who just kind of know they're squad players? They're not going to get game time. How do you keep them interested?
I think it's the environment. I think as long as the messages that say you play in England, you've got your match prep, you've got your preparation, you've got your match day -2, -1, +1, +2 as it is these days. But as long as you're giving everything of yourself to each individual in that squad, if someone feels they're getting some love back from you, then they're gonna give some love back to you. if that makes sense. That's the simplest way of looking at it. You know, yes, managers have favourites. Yes, they have people who's going to be, you know, first on the team sheet. But if you've got somebody who can take an interest in you, who can ask how you are, who can, you know, get into your thoughts as a player who's not playing, I think that carries a bit of currency.
He can't answer it, Harte, because he was a regular from when he came in. He's exceptional, so one of the best that we had. He can't answer it. I can answer it coming into the squad when Mick McCarthy was in charge. Our squad was the best squad ever. Obviously, I know Jack before, his squad was fantastic, but for me personally, I think our squad was the best. I was so happy. Yeah, thank you. Keep it going. But
I thought mine was a good answer, to be fair.
Yeah, yours was brilliant. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The squad's then, but I'm saying it's a bit different now. But that's just what the cards you're dealt with. But when I'm coming into that squad, even when I've got a slight knock at club level, I'm always going to go and come to the squad because we had a great.
You knew we had a night out in Dublin. That's why.
100%. That was first and foremost. And it weren't one night, it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But no, you get to play with we had all these experienced players, and Harte picked out some of the top players like with Duffer and Robbie Keane, Roy Keane. The list goes on, Shea Given, Harte, the list goes on. It's quality. So as a youngster, when you're coming into that squad, you're not going to miss it. You're not going to not want to come and learn. You're going to want to learn from these top players that you see playing in the Premier League and playing on international levels. So that's why I think when I see players now pulling out with slight little niggles, they are bonkers. The best thing I ever done was put on that green jersey because I know we'll get into it later on, but you just feel accepted. And they're the best fans to play for. No, I'm not just saying that because we're here today, because I did an interview a few weeks ago talking about the Ireland-England game coming up. The Irish fans are the best fans I played for, without a shadow of doubt. They get behind everyone, even when I've had a stinker. I didn't have many, but I had a few. But they still get behind you.
Well, we'll get to that as well.
There you go. Looking forward to you saying that on Soccer Saturday every week, even when you're watching the Premier League. The Irish fans are the best. The Irish fans are the best.
Now we're just going to go through each of your careers chronologically. So
Mine will be quick then.
going to start
That's
with
1 minute you're going to get this.
Going to start with yourself, Alan. Of course, you're not the first Alan Kelly to play for Ireland. As we all know, your father, Alan Kelly Sr., was a legend. And of course, he used to recruit players for Ireland, didn't he, for Preston North End. What was that like growing up with a legend for a father?
Well, looking at the picture now, I mean, what you don't see is that the ball flying through the window and smashing. Hell of a volley that was. I remember he's about 12 years old. I wish I had that head of hair now, but anyway, just looking back. Yeah, my dad... He speaks for himself. He never cut our hair. My dad was a qualified hairdresser. When he moved over from my mum and dad were born in Bray, County Wicklow. My dad was a time-served plasterer. And when he came over, he wanted another trade. So he learnt a trade as being a quality hairdresser. And that's Howard Kendall in the picture you can see there, cutting his hair before the 1964 FA Cup final. He never cut our hair. My mum used to put, you remember, your mum used to put a bowl on your head. And can't do it now because I haven't got the hair. But yeah, listen, my dad's record speaks for itself. 47 caps for Ireland, record appearance holder for Preston North End's got a stand named after him now with his 50-metre big face looking at me every time I'm doing the radio. And how can you not be proud of that? You know, in terms of somebody in your family.
Sorry, there he is there. With Johnny Giles, is it?
Yeah, he was assistant manager for 7 years with the Republic, with Johnny Giles. And he'd go away on trips. I remember him coming to Brazil, came back with a couple of guitars. They had Dublin written on side of him, but we won't go with that. But he involved us in the day-to-day at Preston, believe it or not. So everybody knows about Nigel Clough and Brian Clough. He used to have his son on the bench. We used to go to every game and he'd sit us on the bench. You know, the manager was Nobby Stiles, won the World Cup with England and things like that. So our involvement with Preston, our involvement with Ireland was literally from a really young age. And I remember being in the Green Isle Hotel in Ireland for just once. I only went once, and he was manager for one game, Switzerland, at home at Lansdowne Road. They won 2-0. But you'd think, you know, you're the family of of Alan Kelly. He's the manager. He's 47 caps for Ireland. He was the first Irish goalkeeper who was a captain. And you're thinking, wow, this would be nice, you know, nice little seat overlooking the halfway line. He put us in the stand. He put us in the south stand, me and my brother. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't got an Irish accent. And in 1980, that was a little bit... and I was on the south line crying out, Ireland, Ireland, and someone had a go at me for it. And someone said, it's Kelly's lad. Next minute, I'm on the shoulders, we're winning 2-0, and he's a hero, so... But, listen...
Amazing times there. But Ian, you were telling me earlier that you were with John Giles recently. Good health?
Yeah, to be honest, it was nice to see Johnny. It was an event up at Leeds. It was, obviously his son brings him up. I think he's living around the Birmingham area. So we got up and the guy was asking him to do a few signings. So Johnny said, I was wondering what was in the plastic bag. And then a can of Coke came out and then a bottle of Bacardi. And he was like, I need a few kind of drinks before I can start doing the signings. So it was, but yeah, it was lovely to meet him. It was the first time I met him.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, he's a great lad, Johnny. He's a brilliant supporter of our club here. We've been lucky to have him as a guest before as well.
Yeah. When you first got involved, Alan, with the Irish team, I think there's a story about that, isn't there? Was it 1990 you got involved?
Well, I started actually in 85 for the under-18s. Actually, remember, I played my first game 40 years ago, so your anniversary is this year, 40 years as an association. I made my debut 8th of September in 84 for Preston North End. So thanks, Kieran. You know, you said I didn't look it, didn't you? Yeah, thanks, mate. But yeah, I got called up for the under-18s. This is before Jack Charlton. This is in the times of Liam Toohey was the manager of the under-18s. Brian Kerr was his assistant manager. Noel O'Reilly was his coach. So 3 really famous Irish personalities, managers and coaches. And one of the games in 1986, we were playing England. Obviously, we were playing them on Sunday as well. We were playing England under-18s at Leeds. Jack Charlton had just been announced as the Irish manager. So Liam Toohey liked his football, a lot like today, play out from the back, keep possession, forge an opportunity, try and get a chance on goal by keeping possession. We were 2-0 down at half-time, and it was the fullback's fault, not looking at you, Ian. And next minute, half-time, this foot comes through the door at Elland Road. The door flies open, hits me on the shoulder. I flew into the centre of the dressing room, and in marches Jack Charlton. And he tore a strip off all of us. Under-18s, seniors alike, it did not matter. And he turned round to me, he went, you lanky streak of piss. He went, what I know about you is you can kick it from one end of the pitch to the other. I suggest you do that in the second half, and that is not a request. Okay, Jack. But we finished losing 2-0. Unfortunately, Liam Toohey resigned as under-18 manager, and so did Brian, and so did Noel, and it sort of brought an end to that era and their involvement in the underage age groups for Ireland, which they were fantastic as. But in terms of an introduction to Jack, and it's something he never forgot throughout my time with him. He always remembered that first, and he said to me, he said, I actually put my foot through the door, and he did it because Leeds was his home. You know, he had 750 games, and he did not want to be embarrassed at his home, as he saw as his spiritual home. So, yeah, that was a hell of a first introduction.
And another one with a stand named after him as well, Elland Road, isn't it?
Yeah, it was remarkable, really, in terms of the longevity of his career at Leeds. Obviously, you know, what he did with England as well. But I'm fortunate that I had, 6 years with him, when he was with Ireland, and he gave me my debut as well. So, I look at the man now and I feel blessed that, one, he gave me the opportunity, and two, I spent time in his company.
And you almost went to the 1990 World Cup.
Yeah, we were playing, there was a B International in Lurgan, Portadown, which was just on the border there, and it was quite tasty at the time, shall we say. And just to give you a little side of that, so before the game, we were getting ready to play Northern Ireland Republic. The chief of police, chief of the army walks in and he says, excuse me, he said, where's your goalkeeper? And I put my hand up. And he went, now, young son, he says, may I give you a spot of advice in this game? He went, may I suggest you keep on your toes? We have reports of a handgun in the crowd. We're 80% certain we know who it is. But just in case, keep on your toes. Well, I was like MC Hammer. Unbelievable. Up and down. I must have done 10,000 metres by the time I'd finished, you know. Wow. We won through, but go on to what you said. On the way home, like Niall Quinn was playing at the time, Owen Coyle was playing at the time, there was some great lads. So we called in at Dundalk on the way home for a pint, right, as you do, and no mobiles. The phone goes, and the bartender goes, Alan, there's a call for you. I went, what? You know, and Jerry's in Dundalk. Hello, it's Big Jack. Big Jack's on the phone. Alan, yeah, Jerry Payton's got injured in training today. You're on the bench tomorrow. We're playing, whoever we were playing, I think it was Nigeria. We're playing Nigeria and it's Liam Brady's testimonial. You're on the bench. See you there. So, bang. So there I am the next day. I get on the bench thinking this is fantastic. You know, it's the last game before they go to the 1990 World Cup. Anyway, Liam gets taken off. Liam's the president here. He's told you the story, and it was fantastic man who I worked with Giovanni Trapattoni as well. We'll get there in a minute, lads. Anyway, so after the game, Jack walks into the dressing room and he says, everybody in here is going to the 1990 World Cup in Italy. And I put my head forward and he went, not you, you lanky streak of piss.
Speaking of World Cups, USA 94. I've got to ask the question. Obviously, Packy was our goalkeeper for that. Do you think at that time that was your time to be our number one?
I think, to be fair, I'd made my full debut against Germany away in the second last game before we went to the World Cup, or the last game. Gary Kelly, Artie's uncle, scored a goal in that game. I don't remember. Germany were unbeaten on home soil for 40 years. That was my full debut. I found out the day before, we'd had our training session in the stadium at Hanover. Sorry.
How come there's only 10 players there? Where's the 11th one?
We had to give him a chance.
Terry Phelan.
Was taking the photo.
There you go. Yeah, he was taking the photo. There you go.
Can't match that. So, literally 24 hours before the game, we finished the training session. We always trained in the stadium the night before a game, didn't we? That's always been the case, especially away from home. And got us all in a circle, and he said, right, lads, you're playing Germany. Lothar Matthäus, Matt Sammer, Rudi Voller, Klinsmann, Struens, all these unbelievable players that you'd looked at in the 1990 World Cup and thought, wow, because they'd won it. And Jack went, oh, by the way, looked over at me. He didn't say, you lanky streak of piss this time. He went, you're making your debut tomorrow. That's how I found out. Yeah, literally wanted to test you, threw you in at the deep end and said, let's see how you get on, son. We won the game 2-0. I walked off. I remember walking in the dressing room after and just thinking, one, elated. I think, one, I'd walked in the footsteps of my dad, my father. And so you can imagine the emotion, you can imagine, I don't know, the pride that you feel from that, you know, and then suddenly thinking, I've kept a clean sheet against Germany, who won the World Cup 4 years ago, and not been, you know, those thoughts start coming into your head. But that team you see there, that team was tried and tested, wasn't it? Except for, I say, Ian's uncle, Gary, got into the side, Phil Babb was in the side, Jason McAteer got in the side. You know, I kicked the Italian's arse. Remember the T-shirt he had, and I sort of never thought of it like that. All I ever thought is I can only do my best, whether it was in that game against Germany, whether it was in training, whatever it may be. That's all I could do. The rest was up to Jack. The rest was up to Maurice Setters. The rest was up to who, whatever. But all I could do was give myself the best chance. I thought I gave myself the best chance, and that's all I could do.
That's fair.
So that incredible 1994 World Cup, Ian, what do you remember of that?
He wasn't born.
A young lad, but I remember Kells was at the World Cup, and obviously Babsy and Jason, and Brendan O'Carroll was over there. And now Brendan was very famous for having the little ponytail at the back. That ponytail is in my nana's house because Gaz Kelly walked up behind him and a pair of scissors and cut it off. So yeah, true story.
And Clinton, do you remember that? Do you remember the World Cup? Not
Yeah, I
the
remember it. I remember that. I'm just saying to Harty, that is some squad there, some talented individuals. I'd like to know how, tell me how it worked out, because you got John Sheridan, you got Keno, and you got Andy Townsend. So did all three of them play in midfielders? Who played out on the wing? What formation was it? Because there's a lot of midfielders there.
4-5-1.
There you go. Thanks for coming,
Because
Kels.
the instruction to Packy was to kick the ball as high as possible. No, this is true. Because especially in Orlando, it was 115 degrees, the Mexico game, when John Aldridge absolutely lost the plot, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. The instruction for those games was, Packy, kick the ball as high as you can, which will allow our team to get up the pitch to go and challenge, which will reduce the distance that we have to run because of the heat. And remember Steve Staunton, remember Stan with his ginger hair, Harry Potter, you know what I mean? Sorry, Ron Weasley, I should say. And it was honestly, it was horrific, the heat. And that was the tactic. And Coyley was up front he after this game, we got on the plane. After that game, we went to the Meadowlands next door. We had an unbelievable reception after it. And we got on a plane, and his head started hurting. And next minute, he was screaming. And I mean screaming like I've never heard before, because his brain was swelling. He was that dehydrated from the running and the intensity of it. And I remember we were on about Mick Byrne, the famous physio, when in '88 when he walks in, we'll do these for you today, playing against England. And Mick had to cradle his head in his hands on the floor of the plane, and we had an 8-hour flight, and you can imagine the pressure. So all these little side stories, you know what I mean, you were saying before, that come together, and then looking at that picture and reminding ourselves of what happened, it's incredible, really.
Wow. I mean, absolutely incredible time. But we've actually had Terry Phelan on our podcast before, Lansdowne Raw. Make sure you all subscribe. Little plug there. But yeah, he told us about this photo, and he said, he'd gone off to get something, and then he says, obviously after the result, that's the photo in the press, and he's not even in it. He's absolutely distraught by that. So yeah, it's an interesting one on that.
Moving on to 95, and obviously the Charlton era is starting to come to an end, and now you have become our #1 goalkeeper. It happened very quickly. You can see the photograph there. It happened very quickly, didn't it? We were on top of the Euro 96 qualifying group, and then, in my opinion, I don't know how you guys feel about it and how you guys feel, but I think the start of the end was the England game when we had the trouble in Lansdowne Road. I think Jack started to become a little bit, not disinterested, but a bit disheartened.
Do you know what? I have to say I wouldn't agree with that, because every facet of what he did, Jack, from start to finish, didn't elicit that. And if you look at the documentary Finding Jack, and you look at the wall with all these notes on it, which was people probably thought they were a myth at the time about writing on fag packets and bits of paper. When you see that wall, and that was his attention to detail, in a totally different way that we see now, but the wheels came off in Liechtenstein, where we gave them the first point in world football. But we had 42 shots at goal. We could not hit a barn door if we tried.
And you stopped it from being 1-0, didn't you?
73rd minute, the right winger came through, and as he was coming through, I could see he was visibly shaking. He was shaking. So I thought, this is simple. I don't have to do anything. So as he got within, he came into the box, and I could see him. He didn't know what to do. He was shaking. So I just went, boo! At his gospel, I went, boo! And he went, boom! Like that. In vulture reaction, kicked the ball in his hands. I went, thank you very much. Got it, smashed it in the air, and then we went back again. But we had 42 efforts. But Jack, in an exasperation, all the substitutes were sat on the old schoolboy benches. Remember the ones, that used to have in a little gym, like little tiny things. And all the balls were there as well. Well, in his rage, he smashed a ball against the bench, which hit the other 8 balls, which went onto the pitch as the international was going on. And he's there. I can remember him looking at me. He's going, Andy, kick that ball back. as the game's going on, it was just surreal how we didn't come out with that team. But listen, I've got to tell you another thing about Jack. Jack loves scoring goals. And before internationals, we were at Lansdowne, and I think it was before the Spain game. So remember the Spain game before '94 World Cup where we were gonna win and go through, and we lost 3-1. The night before, I'm on the pitch, and Jack walks on with his son, but he walked on in his cap, as you see there. He didn't have his opal jacket on. He had a shooting jacket on. He had a pair of leather brogues, and he shouts to Ray Houghton, "Ray, cross us a few balls in, will you? This is the main training session. Crosses a few balls in." So I'm thinking, he went, "Get yourself in, lanky." So in you get. So I gets in the goal, crosses the ball, wallop, hits it with his brogue, top corner. He wheels away. I still haven't lost it. And we've got a game the next day. You know what I mean? But it's the way that he loved how he could take himself back to being a kid, I suppose, being on a football pitch and a ball. You know, it's like Clinton, Ian, isn't it? You know what I mean? But in the context of an international, listen, I am absolutely blessed to have been in his team and to his company, because, like I say, there's no other person than Jack Charlton.
Probably one of your finest games in goal for Ireland was the playoff in Anfield. For those of you maybe don't remember that, because we finished second, we had to play the Dutch in Anfield in a one-off playoff in December '95, and I like to go back and look at old matches and see if I remember them the same way as they actually were. And I remember you had a phenomenal game. You probably kept it down to about 5 or 7, or from 5 or 7 you kept it down to 2.
Yeah, but it was one of those performances that, as a goalkeeper, when you're under pressure, when the opposition's coming at you, and that team was unbelievable, wasn't it? Patrick Kluivert was there, and and the rest of the players that they had in that team was just exceptional. And listen, for me, as you said before, when did that decline start? And we said about Liechtenstein, or was it the riot, in the England game? The saddest part of that game was the ending for Jack. And when he came onto the pitch at the end of it, he knew his time was up. He knew that his time and 10 years as Irish manager was coming to an end. And not only that, I think, and I don't know if anybody was at the game or remember it, but the reception, the ovation, that the fans, whether you were Dutch or whether you were Irish, sang down to this iconic manager who had done so much in the game. It's incredible. But I've got to tell you, the last time I saw Jack, I was working for Preston North End. I was a goalkeeping coach at Preston North End. We're in the first division. We're playing Carlisle away. I'm getting ready to warm my goalkeepers up before the game, an hour before the game. There's a knock on the dressing room door, and it's Peter Ridsdale, who was your chairman at Leeds, who's now the chairman at Preston North. He goes, "Alan, there's someone in the boardroom. They'd like to see you." I went, "Peter, I've got a bag of balls. I've got 3 keepers. I'm about to warm up." He went, "You want to see him?" Didn't tell me. So I got my bag of balls. I've got my studs on. I've got my kit on. I walked through the corridors at Carlisle to the boardroom. I walked in. There's Big Jack. "I've bought you a pint, son, and I don't buy many." Now, what he didn't know, I knew it was a free bar. But here's the conundrum, right? I'm doing my job as a professional, or so I think I am. It's an hour before kickoff. We've got 3 goalkeepers, and there's a pint of Guinness on the bar. I've got a bag of balls. I've got a chairman looking at me, and I've got Jack going, "Come on." Thought, there's only one thing for it. Bang. I downed a pint of Guinness in one. I went, "Jack, thank you very much, son. I'll see you later."
So moving on from obviously working with that iconic legend Jack, who we absolutely love to death, of course. What was it like going on working with, former teammate Mick McCarthy?
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah. No, listen. The one thing Mick did when he came in is he regenerated that squad, because, as we've said before, I think he needed Harte and Clinton and Enid and Breeny and all those, Kenny Cunningham, and we can go on, can't we? And I think that 1996 You know, it was the US Cup that went on. I missed it. I was injured, so when it came down to Liechtenstein, the first game, I think we won 5-0 away in Liechtenstein. We had a new era. We had, as Clinton said, not only a new era, but a new set of lads, a new spirit, a new way of forging our way forward to be competitive in world football. And I think Mick deserves a hell of a lot of credit for promoting Ian, Clinton, and all the rest of the young lads who had not had a great deal of experience, but who produced in magnitudes.
Yeah, and speaking of that US Cup, that's where you made your debut, Ian, the game against Bolivia. I think it was Mick's first victory. I think it was a 3-0 win. I think it was his 8th game, and he waited for it. What was that like, making your Irish debut?
Oh, well, for every young Irish lad to wear the Ireland top. But I think one of the games was at the Giant Stadium, wasn't it? I think it was. Or was that against Mexico?
That was the crazy 2-2
I scored a
draw.
header in that trip away to America as well. But yeah, the good thing about the Irish lads, whether we were young lads or kind of senior lads, when young lads come in, there was a great togetherness within the group. We always tried to make the young lads like Clinton, you had Reedy as well that kind of come in. We try and make them feel welcome, make them feel part of the squad, so the pressure's taken off them. They slot straight in. But I remember on one occasion where it was out in Portmarnock, and obviously Roy Delap was in the squad, and we're doing a rondo, and obviously Roy was in it, and Roy had played it literally about that high half the ground. Can you remember it, Clint? It literally hit his ankle and bounced off right up in the sky, and Roy says, if you can't fucking deal with it, fuck off. So you can imagine that was the kind of where, you know, it was a certain kind of professionalism. You know, he demanded it from other lads, and obviously all the lads were playing top end of the Premier League then. But it was quite ruthless. But you know, when we were out there, to give the best we could.
For that US Cup, obviously Roy was supposed to travel with the team, and him and Mick, you know, as will become a theme later on. We'll get to it, don't worry. He obviously, you know, he had a falling out with Mick, didn't he? I think it was after a long season. I think United won the double. Andy Townsend was the captain, and he was giving the senior lads a rest, and he wanted to give, you know, Roy, I want you to captain the Ireland team. I want you to go. And Roy, whatever, felt, well, I've had a long season, and he had a bust up. Did you know then, did you feel, maybe this isn't going to last?
We won't have known, because obviously we'd just joined up. So the only one that can answer this is Al. So go on, Al. I'm going to pass the book.
And I didn't go. No, as you said, I think it's well documented, isn't it? From, you know, it started from, I think, 1990, the US Cup, back in 1990 or when it was.
92.
Was it 92? And, you know, at that time you could see, obviously, that was always going to be a point. As you said, Roy missed out on quite a lot of games, but in a way, it gave the young lads an opportunity to shine. Do you know what I mean? It gave Mick an opportunity to say, listen, I can experiment, I can test these lads, because, you know, when you're thrown into that international arena, when you're thrown into international football and you're playing the size that you're playing, like I said in my debut against Germany, it was a test, and you have one game to prove that you can perform or you can handle that level.
It's sink or swim, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
How are you going to deal with it?
And you think about this, and I thought it was great because you had a body of young players who all understood what was needed, but what they were going through, that maybe not anxiety, but a bit nerves, a bit what's it going to be like. And you had a body of older players who had done it and maybe could help, or maybe, you know, offer a kind word or a bit of crack or whatever, just to break the tension. But fundamentally, this was your audition. And by the way, he passed his audition with flying colours.
He did. Andy, I know you didn't travel to it, but the Mexico game, the 2-2 draw, I think Mick got sent off, Noel Quinn got sent off on the bench, you know, which never happens. It was just a crazy game of football. Do you have any memories from that?
Not really, no. Just being totally honest. Yeah.
What kind of trip was this?
We're talking about certain stories about what has gone on. Yeah, it's like, you know, obviously playing for your country. it's amazing. Obviously, I can't really remember them times. I can remember, obviously, I scored at the Giant Stadium, but the games kind of then come thick and fast. And there was a time where I was playing more for Ireland. There was a spell I ended up playing centre half, more for Ireland than I was at Leeds United at the time. And I remember I played against Argentina. I was up against Gabriela Batistuta. That was a lesson for me that day. It was a schoolboy lesson.
And he scored.
Pardon?
Did he score?
I don't know.
Ortega scored.
But no, it was, listen, it's all part of the journey. You're going to make mistakes, and it's about dealing with them. Obviously, most of the lads, have gone on, and especially you look at Robbie Keane. Robbie is a great servant. I see his wife was getting a bit of jip or whatever the other night on social media, and Robbie's been a great servant for Irish football. It's been unfair with what happened. He was forced out the door. I think you need people like that. Should be involved with the Irish football team.
Here.
Yeah. Just back to it, and Ian, coming into the squad though, like against, competing for a position against Dennis Irwin, for example, they could play left and right side. What was Dennis like, and how welcoming was he to you, perhaps in the squad? How competitive is it when you went in there? He wants to play, you're coming in, young lad coming in. How was that like?
Well, to be honest, for me, I think Dennis was the best fullback to probably ever play for Ireland. Whether it was left foot, right foot, he was so natural. Of course, you just got to be picked up as a young lad, so you're looking up to people like that. Now, I signed for Leeds as a striker, and because of my blistering pace, I got pushed back. So, for me, just obviously to feed off someone like Dennis Irwin, ask some questions, try and make myself a better kind of fullback. Dennis is a great, great guy, and not only that, the digs that I lived in Leeds, Dennis came through Leeds, and he was in the same digs, so I used to see him quite a bit. Really, really good guy.
In doing my research for this, actually, I was astounded. I came across a stat, and we talked about it earlier on, is that, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but Ian Harte is the fifth highest goal scorer in the Premier League from free kicks, joint fifth. We got that right? There you go.
Go on, tell him. Tell the audience.
I'll let Al tell you.
Oh, you tell it, Ian. Come on.
Well, when I was playing at Leeds, we had a pre-season game against Blackburn. And guess how many? I'm looking at you because I scored a hat-trick of free kicks against Al.
The third one was an own goal.
So, yeah. I love you, Al.
Just moving on to Euro 2000, which is a bugbear of mine, really, because if anyone remembers, we got the still there, and there's Dennis Irwin losing a rag, because that's just where we've conceded to Macedonia. We were 13 seconds from winning the group and qualified for Euro 2000. Alan, I'm not blaming anyone, but it did come from a corner, and it did come from a save of yours that actually pushed out for a corner that they scored.
Sorry.
Just catch it, Al.
Yeah, it was actually a great save, to be honest. It was going in, tipped around the post. I've got to ask, where do you begin with that?
I thought we were coming to enjoy ourselves tonight. No, listen. When you look back now, and obviously with time, what's that, 25 years ago? And this is me, right? So 13 seconds from qualifying for Euro 96 in England. I mean, that was the prize. In the same year, I'd won the International Player of the Year, but totally overshadowed by the fact that you hadn't qualified for a tournament by losing out in 13 seconds. I remember the game. We got battered in the game, to be fair. It's entering the 93rd minute. One of the first inverted wingers cut inside his left foot, bent one in the top corner. I've just got a finger on it, it's hit the bar and gone for a corner. I'm thinking, yes, we're qualified. Says to the referee, I went, as you do, I went, how long? Like, I don't know what he was, Georgian or something like that. How long? And he went, when he takes the kick, the first contact, I blow the whistle. Christ almighty, the corner came in, the first contact hit the fella's head, the second contact was in the back of the net as he was blowing his whistle, and that was it. That is how cruel football can be. And it was just, when you look back now, because at the time you would have heard, we would all have said, listen, there's nothing we can do about it. we've got to move forward to playing Turkey in the playoff, and we've got to do da 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 da. But you're 13 seconds from a major tournament.
Yeah.
And I probably look back on it now with in a more balanced way to say, I think we made a substitution in the game. Do you remember? I don't really want to name names, but Keith O'Neill came on, and he slipped an edge of the box, and he let the centre forward ran past him, totally unopposed, and just put a bullet header in the top corner. And but there you go. That's life, isn't it? You have to deal with it and move on. And we did have another opportunity against Turkey.
Well, we used to call that the curse of TV3. Who remembers that? Every game on TV3, something would go wrong. What was Mick like in a dressing room after that? Because I think there's footage of him on the internet. He's kicking over the desk. He's kicking over the table. I know in '98 against Belgium, he actually, if you ever see the documentary, McCarthy's Park is great. And he actually puts his foot through the coffee pot and he actually tells you a story. It's really, really good. What was he like in the dressing room after that?
He came in with the message that I said to you before in terms of like, listen, we've got to go again. We've got a playoff and we've got to get ready for that. We've got to put the disappointment behind you. But the context is it's not a beautiful dressing room as it was now. It was a primary school dressing room. You used to go in and hang your coat and you like back to back.
Yeah.
So me and you were saying about Dennis Irwin, I was sat next to Dennis. And we both looked at each other, and Dennis never got too high, never got too low, went right down the middle. And as Ian just said there, one of the best fullbacks in world football, and over such a period of time, especially what he won with Man United. But I always took a cue from Dennis, and Dennis's reaction wasn't to kick and make a fuss. Dennis's reaction was, it's gone. We have to move forward. Not in like beating your chest, just by his demeanour, just by his actions. And he just stood up and he said, right, get changed, we go again. Simple as. But that was from someone who had been there, seen it, done it. And he knew that by his example would allow everybody else to either make your excuses or move forward to the next game. And I always remembered Dennis from that, in terms of his demeanour and it actually proved to me what a champion he is.
And obviously, you did go again. World Cup 2002 qualifying campaign. Ian, you're the only player to have played every minute of that qualifying campaign. You must have been knackered.
Well, no. Listen, I went to the World Cup, and of course, everyone wants to go to the big tournaments, but I played in every game there, but I had a problem with my right foot, so I had like a cyst underneath it, which was a bit of a nightmare. So as soon as the World Cup had finished, I had to get the operation done. But yeah, I wasn't at my best. I know I would like to have had the opportunity to take the penalty again. I went up. You should never ever change your mind. I changed my mind, and
you're jumping well ahead here. We haven't even spoken about that little island yet.
Yeah.
Clinton, you come into the squad around this time as well?
Yeah, it was the best feat. Listen, it's difficult for me because look at my accent. I'm born in South London, so for me to go and represent Ireland was a big call, but I remember it because I was saying it from a youngster. What people don't know is that from me, when I was like 9 or 10, my family were in Ireland, so I was always on the boats fishing. So I don't know why, because I don't like fishing, but when you go to your families over there, you just go fishing. So I was always going to Ireland, but I was always saying to Taff, I've got Irish in me. And Taff would look at me as like, no. I said, I've definitely got Irish in me. I'm telling you, my grandma's Irish. I can play for Ireland. But no one believed me. And obviously, you wouldn't believe me because I don't have an Irish accent. So everyone still now, every day when they see me, says, how did you play for Ireland? I just said I had a glass of Guinness and that was it. And I don't even drink. So it was never that I did have a Guinness. But as I said, the thing is, eventually it came and I met Mick McCarthy. So I was meant to meet Mick McCarthy. I'd just been called up to the England under-21s. And I met, my agent organised a meeting with Mick McCarthy. My dumb agent nearly ruined my chances of playing for Ireland because he picked a time where I was still at training. We made Mick McCarthy wait an hour in a bar for us. He absolutely tore the agent a new one. I thought he was coming for me. And I was thinking, Mick's got that big head, big nose. I'm not trying to get toe-to-toe with him, to be fair. So I thought I'll leave that, even though I was confident as a youngster. I weren't that confident to tackle him. And the rest is history. I played 2 games for the 21s, and yeah, I love playing for Ireland. I remember coming on.
You scored on your debut as well.
Yeah, I scored on my debut against Croatia, and it was. But I was proper nervous because the first time you got all of these top players that have played, and you walk into there. I shouldn't say I was nervous because I bowled in off the plane, bowled into the hotel, had my clothes, had my earring, my chain, my watches, walked in. Robbie Keane said, oh, slow down. Until you do something don't like that, I hid everything, tucked it away, went upstairs, was quiet, and just tried to deliver. And I remember on my debut, I was warming up. And you're nervous, you are nervous, because you're not born in Ireland, so you don't know how you're going to be accepted. I was nervous, I'm not going to lie. It's the first time ever in my life I'm nervous. I'm looking around Lansdowne Road, and I'm thinking, wow, it's an atmosphere. The press were big on it, Clinton's coming and stuff, and I was like, I am nervous. I just remember a shot coming, he parried it, and it was 6 yards out, but I knew I should score, but I'm still nervous thinking, just make the right contact here. I just made the contact, put it into the net, I kissed the badge, went to the corner flag, they were cheering my name, and that's when I knew I was 100% Irish.
He's good, isn't he? He is good. He's good, isn't he?
That's why Sky paid the big money.
Can I bring,
That's what Zaki was going through my head. Like,
can I bring this down a bit? Because
you played that game, didn't you?
that was my last game for Ireland, Croatia. Yeah.
Weren't my fault.
So he got rid of me.
I'll tell you who got rid of you. Shazy, give away the penalty.
John O'Shea made his debut in the same game, these two, right? So he scored a goal, he's taking all the glory, right? So John O'Shea came on in the 80th minute. We're 2-0 up, we concede. Not saying that was Shazy's fault, but the second one, 93rd minute, they get a corner. The corner comes in. Next minute, see John O'Shea round about the penalty spot. Looks like he's going to head it. Next minute, he steps in and he punches it. One of the best punches you've ever seen. It was a right hook, bang. And I looked at John and I went, that's a fucking penalty. And the referee was looking at me and went, you're fucking right it is. Puts the spot down, 94 minutes. I thought, here, Kelly, come on, son. This is it. This is your moment. 94 minutes. Davil Suka gets up, feared striker. Anyway, he goes right. I went the right way. Thought I got a touch on it, didn't. Hit the post, went in. I thought that was it. And then Clinton, as he said, so that was me, finished. Mick obviously went, I'm finished. I didn't play again, but he went on to have a great career.
No, but you should have been back in.
Obviously, that was the World Cup campaign. We've just missed out in Euro 2000. Actually, just very quickly, I meant to ask about Bursa, the playoff in Turkey. Did you play in that one, Alan?
No. As you see, unfortunately, I used to get quite a few injuries and quite a few unlucky moments, really, like 13 seconds before a major championship. Tore my groin in the 30 minutes into the home tie when, again, another penalty. So I had to come off before that. So I didn't make the 0-0 in Turkey. So again, just another game where, you're going to give yourself a chance of hopefully doing well for the country, and an injury takes it away. But that was probably because I got run over when I was 19. But anyway, that's another story.
There you go. As you can see on the screen there, we've got the Iran playoff.
That's the second leg, though, isn't it?
That's the one in Tehran, yeah.
Where am I missing? Where's Duffer? Did not play. Did he?
I think was he suspended or injured, I think?
I don't know. I
Yes.
didn't think Duffer missed a game of football, to be fair. So, because I was actually surprised when I see Dave Conley, because it would always be Robbie and Duffer up front.
Do you remember the warm-up? Do you remember the warm-up for that game?
No, I don't. It was hostile. That game was
Hostile. The Iranians, it was 120,000 people in that stadium, and they were in the stadium 7 hours before kick-off.
They were.
No, honestly. And they'd been whipped up into a type of frenzy I've never seen in world football. Honestly, it was incredible. So that atmosphere going in there, and just one from my perspective, Shea's playing, there's me and Dean Kiley, Packy's the goalkeeping coach. We went out an hour before, as I said to you, with the Carlisle story. We're over by the fans, and we're in a circle, and we're just sat it was a beautiful evening, sat on the grass, just doing some stretches. Next minute, we all rolled backwards. A stun grenade had been thrown onto the pitch. So this, for want of a better, hand grenade lands in the middle of us, fortunately. And then all the pressure threw us back. Next minute, this little fellow walks on with 2 buckets. He walks on and he goes, okay. Okay. Now, that's where I lost my hair. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it now. But he filled the crater in with the sand, went, okay, play on. That was the start. That was an hour before kickoff. So if we didn't know what we were getting, we knew what we were getting then.
Obviously, we'd done the business at home. We won 2-0 at home. Finally got off to a good start in the playoffs because we always seemed to have the first leg away, didn't we? And we, the first leg at home, and then we'd go away and it'd sort of fall apart. In the home leg, Ian, you scored a penalty, and I think Robbie Keane scored the second goal. It was a lovely goal, and Shay Given made 2 phenomenal saves. What was going through your mind when you stepping up to take that penalty?
Very nervous. Listen, they were a good footballing team. They were very, very good. But of course, nice to get the 2 goals, nice to get up, but hit the penalty as hard as I could into the side net and then jump the barrier. But it was very intimidating when we went away there, which it doesn't really show. But all I can remember is, I'm sure all the kind of press that came as well, the women, they had to wear the white veils, didn't they, as well? So it doesn't really show it there, but it was 120,000 people. It was, obviously, we lost the game, but we qualified. And we then, at that time, which Peter Ridsdale was the Leeds United chairman, he'd sent a private jet for Gaz Kelly, myself, and Robbie Keane to fly back to Leeds United.
Cheers.
We had an important game. No wonder they went 130 million in debt. So, So we flew back because we were due to play Sunderland the weekend. So all the lads had obviously flew back to Dublin, partying, celebrating, and we got stuffed off Sunderland the weekend. So it was we didn't get the opportunity, but now it was for every footballer to go and play in the big tournaments. I've been fortunate enough to play for Leeds in UEFA Cup semi-finals, Champions League, but to represent your country and go to a World Cup, it's the pinnacle.
And knowing we were going there, like that is the flight home, Alan, then, or Clinton, can you tell us a bit? Because it wasn't it the thing about airspace, you could only open the bar.
I can't even remember. I know I came on in that game and it was hostile, to be fair. So it was a great atmosphere. The change room, we were bouncing, and yeah, them 3 missed it, and they the 3 who love partying, Harty, Kells and Keno, so they did miss it. But now when we got, the plane journey was loud, it was noisy, wasn't it? But it's different because I'm a youngster, so even though now, and as I got further on, I can be louder, sometimes when I'm going there, I'm in awe of these players that I'm seeing on there. So I'm watching it on the flight back and everyone's excited, we're partying. But then when we get to Dublin, that's where the real fun starts. But I ain't telling you what happened over there. I can't tell you that.
Okay, I will. No.
I slipped off somewhere. No, not really.
I'm just saying that you said you could be louder.
I was quiet then, didn't it? A bit quiet then, wasn't I?
Again, you said that Ian said about the photograph, it doesn't do it justice. At the end of the game, obviously we're celebrating and we had a great photograph in the dressing room after the game where we're all there and whatever. But trying to get off the pitch, all the Iranian fans, obviously in the disappointment, set fire to the stadium. They did. They had like big programs. You know the big sheet, the A3 you've got there. They had like big things like that. So when we were there and it was a frenzy of of Iranians, whatever, they set fire to it and started throwing, it was like a fireworks, they started throwing it from the 3 tiers of the stands, raining down onto the pitch. And us lot, like idiots, are going, wow, that's brilliant, isn't it? Look at that, that's amazing, that. And then the rock started. I don't even remember, they started to get. So, and then it was 10, I'll never forget, it was 10 kilometres from the stadium to the airport. And on the way home, all the Iranian fans smashed every window of all the cars, and it looked like a sea of frost in the 10 kilometres. And as we're going along, we can hear the popping, whatever, and the fella says, don't worry, the armoured tyres will get through it. So it must have happened before, but never was I more delighted to get out of that place.
It was scary. Usually when we're on away trips, we always go for a walk, and we had a security guard who thought he was hard, no neck, Tony Hickey, he was. He could look after himself, so we'd always go for a walk. I said, we're going for a walk. Tony said, we're going for a walk. I said, hell no, am I going walking there?
Did you miss that?
What one?
The walk.
No, I don't do. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't walking. I stayed in there. I'm not walking out there. No way.
Like, obviously, goalkeeper, sometimes you say they've got a few brain cells.
Yeah,
so
you
I
lot
said,
are mad.
we're going for a walk. So the day before, as we said, we went for a walk, cup of tea, coffee, what have you. I found us a shopping centre in downtown Tehran and said that'd be a great place for a walk. So 8 of us took ourselves off, not quite the dirty dozen, 8 of us took ourselves off, went into the shopping centre. Anyway, we're walking along, and as Clinton said about Tony, our security, one security, right? One, that's all we had. Anyway, I look behind me, and we're being followed by 50 mischievous people, fellas with sticks, right? So I'm the elder statesman, so everybody's looking to me, and I went, listen, lads, don't worry, I've checked it out. We're going to do a right, straight into a cul-de-sac, dead end, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. And now the crowd is getting angry. Did you ever hear about this? The crowd is getting angry. They're banging the sticks on the walls. They want blood. I saw a gold shop at the end. I went, right, we'll get in there. But it only fitted 7 of us in. So I said, who was last in the squad? He went, you're outside, kid. Tony Hickey comes in, smacks two of the Iranians. Next minute, they opened like the Red Sea. We were escorted out. Police came in with the rifles, cleared a route for us on the bus and back. Got on the bus, went, don't tell Mick. Everything went well. Don't worry about it. I don't know how we got away with that, but that was leading up to
Me and him are in the squad, and we didn't even know about that. That's the first we've heard,
Right.
so you did well.
Yeah, you didn't like that.
Well, so we've qualified for the World Cup, and sure, what could go wrong after that?
This is the part where the mic don't work anymore for me. Ask me about Roy. No chance.
Well, that was Lansdowne Legends Part 1. We hope you enjoyed it. Part 2, by the way, will be available on New Year's Day. So you got to wait a week for that. And that's where it gets real meaty, Martin, doesn't it? Where they talk about your pal, Roy Keane.
Yeah, we teed up the second half of the show really well, I feel, and yeah, looking forward to that on New Year's Day, of course. But you know, the night was also sponsored by Jemison. All the money we raised from the event as well all went to the London Irish Centre, so that was important for us to do as well. So we really appreciated the lads coming along to support that, and obviously Bobby from the Irish Centre put on a great night for us, and everyone involved in the show really do appreciate their work with it.
Absolutely. Part 2, as you said, will be available on the YouTube channel. You can't get it anywhere else. It will only be on YouTube. That will be January 1st. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really does help. Please like this video. Tell your friends about it. I mean, this is some fantastic stories, stuff you haven't heard. I'd never heard before. And you know me, I know everything there is about Irish football. Isn't that right, Martin? Don't answer
You
that.
do, Dave.
Thank you very much. And stuff I'd never heard before. And part 2 is going to be the same. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Lansdowne Road here on YouTube. Thank you very much. We'll see you back on the 1st of January for part 2.